In this video, I'm going to be discussing about the features and structure for the argumentative essay as one of your extended writing formats in WACE, and also, this can be applicable in general settings as well. In class, these are the extended writing formats you should have learned thus far. Okay, you have the letter writing, reflective writing, aka discursive writing, just very slight differences between the two, and feature article. So we're going to go into argumentative writing today. Speech writing is also one of the formats that may come out in the extended writing section, but that is something that you will learn formally in a later lesson. You would probably have come across a couple of speeches thus far, which will help, but we won't go into that yet, as that's a later lesson. So for a start, I'm going to give you two excerpts. Can you identify what's the main difference in between these two excerpts? If you need to, please pause the video, and take up, if you need to take up more time. If you don't know what to identify, then just look at the writing style, look at the choice of words that are used, look at the structure, look at some of the features that you have learned before to identify different formats, and see what's the difference. Alright, I'm going to continue. If you haven't found out the difference at this point, please press pause and find out for yourself before moving on. Okay, so the main difference here is in the tone. Alright, we have a very formal tone that's being used in this excerpt, whereas in this excerpt, it's a very informal tone. It should sound familiar to you as well, because this was something that you have come across, if not in format, but in terms of text. Right. So how do we identify that informal tone? Basically through the choice of words. Words like this, hello and welcome. Now that would be okay. Now what if I told you, do you really want to be a fat coughing slob living on an overheated planet where you can barely find enough food and water? Words like that, choice of words, all these choice of words indicate a very informal tone, indicate a more conversational tone as well, more verbal tone. Whereas here, you see, it's pretty much the same content, but a more formal choice of words is used, And these two are basically examples. This is an example of speech. This is an example of argumentative writing. The reason why I brought in speech into the picture is because both speech and argumentative essay have the same persuasive tone. That means the same persuasive underlying tone, but the way they are written is different because your target audience is different. We are going to be focusing on this one, the formal tone, which makes out the argumentative essay. So characteristics of argumentative writing, just based off that excerpt that you have seen in the previous slide. If you notice, the characteristics of the introduction, the format, the structure is still really pretty much the same as what you have learned all this while in terms of writing any form of introduction for any form of format. You have the background context, you have some form of transition, you have the stance on the topic, the thesis statement. Just that everything is, written really formally with formal choice of words. I'm going to go further into this. This is just to pick out, the introduction since I showed you the example. There is the speech writing introduction here, but I'm not going to go too much into that. So argumentative writing, what's the purpose? It's basically to put forward the author's stance on a particular topic in a concise manner. Meaning, so here is where you would go beyond discussing advantages and disadvantages of a particular topic, and you'd be like putting your foot down and saying, I disagree with this topic, or this is my stance, which is either I disagree or I agree. Alright, so that's your opinion or your point of view, the claim that you're trying to put through is very clear, okay, right from the beginning in an argumentative writing piece. So it's moving beyond discursive writing discussion. Okay, so follows the convention of academic writing. Okay, so even though you are putting forward your point of view, you're putting forward an argument, you're putting forward a claim, all of it has to be written in formal language, following formal conventions. Alright, and so basically whatever that you are writing in there, the claims followed by the evidence and such, you're trying to get your reader, your academic reader, to recognize your stance and to recognize that your arguments are valid. Okay, they are supported by evidence. So whatever argument, whatever claims that is made in the essay has to be supported with evidence and examples. Okay, and I said here uses persuasive techniques. I use persuasive techniques here because this should be a term that's already familiar with you. Because as you're looking through our Unit 4 text, what you have gone through so far are speeches. Okay, argumentative writing uses persuasive techniques as well, but the difference is that it focuses more on facts and logic compared to rhetoric that you would have picked out in those speeches that you have analyzed before this. Okay, argumentative writing, it's all about, the factual evidence. You have statistics, you have, all those authoritative evidence to pick out, and you use that rather than using other styles of rhetoric. And then one important feature, I think this is a very important feature of argumentative writing. It's that in the writing piece, the counter argument is acknowledged, but then the author moves on to reaffirm the stance. Excuse me. So what it means here is that if you're arguing for the benefits, okay, you made it clear right from your thesis statement, right from the introduction, you would be acknowledging a flaw somewhere. You would probably be acknowledging a drawback somewhere, okay, in one of the paragraphs, but you move on to explain how the benefits would be better overall, okay, compared to that little flaw that you have picked out. Alright, so structure. If you notice here, you have introduction, you have your main ideas, that's where your body paragraphs are, you have your conclusion. These should all be really familiar with you. It's the same academic writing format. The only additional thing you have is this, your counter argument. Okay, so it's acknowledging the other side. Then you move on and say, even though we know that there's a flaw, the benefits are still going to be much better overall. Something along that lines. Okay, that's the idea for the argumentative writing. Okay, so I put here, your organization of your ideas depend on you and the question requirements. So you can choose to have 2 ideas supporting the topic and 1 opposing idea. Or, you can have 3 ideas supporting the topic and 1 opposing idea, and vice versa. Alright, so again, if you see here body paragraphs, you can keep it to 3 body paragraphs, you can keep it to 4 body paragraphs. That depends on the main ideas you're able to come up with and how solid they are to divide into these 3 or 4 paragraphs. Okay, I'll show you an example in a bit. So I'm just gonna move on first, okay, because part of the WACE exam, the extended writing section, you would be given a choice of up to 5 essay questions. You'd have to pick just 1, but each essay question would likely be related to one particular format, one of those formats that you have learned before. And you'd have to be able to identify, okay, the question requirements clearly before you move on and formulate, okay, your content. So this is just to show you an example of the argumentative essay questions that can be found in the past year questions. I actually identified all of these questions already, okay, from the set of questions in, say, like the 2014 paper, this was the argumentative essay question. In the 2013 paper, this was the argumentative essay question. And then in the 2010 paper, this was the argumentative essay question. Okay, but how did I know that this was an argumentative essay question in the first place? Because some students might get confused with this being a discursive essay instead, rather than argumentative. So here are a couple of tips for you to better identify, okay, how a particular essay question is of, the argumentative format. So one thing to remember is that whatever quotes you are given in the questions, they are not like the absolute truth. They are to be treated as opinions rather than facts. That's the first thing you always have to remember. Okay, so even if the quote says people can be empowered by language, meaning it's already taking like a particular stance, it's still an opinion. It's not the absolute truth. Okay, and the next thing you would pick out, another tip here, would be the instructions. So after looking at the quotes, if there were quotes given, look at the instructions. They will tell you whether you need to pick a stance or not. If you need to pick a stance, or if it indicates that a point of view is needed, that's going to be an argumentative essay. Right, so like this. Write an essay on this topic referring to at least two texts. Now it says on this topic. It didn't tell you whether, you'd be just discussing this or going against it. So you have a choice. So here it already indicates to you it's an argumentative essay. And then the next one here, this one tells you directly, okay, the topic, write an essay on a topic, professional athletes are paid too much. They don't tell you, you need to argue for this, but from here, it already tells you you need a stance. Okay, and then the third one, this one is really straightforward, tells you, so to what extent do you agree or disagree? So you need an opinion, you need a point of view, you need a stance here, very clearly. Alright, so that's how you identify the argumentative essay questions from the given WACE questions. Okay, so we're going to go through the sample. You should have the accompanying handout. Okay, the handout would have been given to you either in soft copy or hard copy. Most likely soft copy. It should come together with this video in a document, a Word document. Okay, Microsoft Word format. So please access that document and do identify the features and the structure of the essay sample first before proceeding with this video. Okay, I will be going through the features, and you would just need to double check and see if you have identified all those features and the structure that is relevant to the argumentative essay. Okay, so here, uniforms must be made compulsory in schools. Provide your arguments based on the statement above. We'll pick out the features. So in the introduction, okay, this is the full introduction. You should have been able to identify that. And so you'll see here the thesis statement is right there. Okay, school uniforms are the better choice. We have the stance right there for 3 reasons. Of course, for WACE, you need to label or mention out those 3 reasons. You don't want to just say for 3 reasons. This makes it a general thesis statement. Okay, you'd want to have a specific thesis statement. Label out the main ideas. What are the 3 reasons? Okay, in the thesis statement itself. So this sample is not completely foolproof either. It's not the absolute perfect sample. Please be ready to write down your own notes and as to how to improve. Okay, so one of the areas of improvement is this. You need to be more specific. Okay, what are those 3 reasons? It needs to be written out. Okay, otherwise, everything else in relation to the introduction, the part there getting the reader interested, that's the hook. In other words, it's also the background context. okay, leading the reader into what you are going to be talking about, okay, the subject area, and then the elaboration, okay, the connecting information, the transitional sentence that links the background context. This is general, okay, this one is the link. This goes into the really specific part, okay, specific meaning what exactly are you focusing on in your essay. Okay, now, so this is the first body paragraph, and so features you should have been able to identify. We had the topic sentence, okay, and then in the topic sentence, a claim is made, a main idea, followed by explanation, followed by examples, right? And then there's the optional concluding sentence. Concluding sentence is just like a summary of that paragraph. If your paragraph is really short or really simple, please, you don't have to repeat using the same exact words again, right? I think concluding sentences are only very much necessary if you already have given like really elaborate pieces of evidence, or you have been picking out very technical evidence. Then you'd want to do a quick summary so that your reader is still with you. Otherwise, if it's simple, like something like this already, it's really simple, you probably want to avoid putting concluding sentences because it becomes mere repetition. Okay, so moving on, this is now in the second body paragraph as well. Make sure you were able to identify this. Okay, you have the topic sentence, you have the arguments that are supported with the explanation and examples, and then here you see the concluding sentence again. All right, decide for yourself if the concluding sentence is really needed here as compared to the previous body paragraph. Okay, and the same thing. So you have the third body paragraph here. Okay, topic sentence, arguments with explanation, examples, and the concluding sentence again. And look, this is where the difference or the distinct feature of argumentative writing comes in. You actually have the counter argument here. Alright, so opponents of mandatory uniforms say that students who wear school uniforms cannot express their individuality. This point has some merit on the surface. That's acknowledging the counter argument, okay, the opposing side. But remember, this is important. You need to add on the following argument that refute the counter argument. Don't keep this paragraph as like a whole paragraph of evidence supporting the counter argument. You don't need that. Okay, your counter argument is pretty much like here, this first section of the paragraph. After that, you refute the counter argument with your fourth main idea or your fourth claim along with the needed evidence. Now, if you cannot think of a fourth main idea, don't force yourselves to. Just keep to three main ideas. Okay, have the counter argument acknowledgement in the third body paragraph instead, before you move on to the related main idea that supports your stance. Clear? Alright, then again you see the concluding sentence. Again, read through this, okay, read through the handout and see really is the concluding sentence very necessary for each and every body paragraph in here. Okay, decide that. And okay, so conclusion is really pretty much the same as every single other format that you've come across. You know, you conclude, you have a short summary of the thesis, of your main ideas, and then just to wrap up, you'd want to just have like recommendations or future impacts and future and whatnot. Alright. So, okay, so this is it. This is the basics for an argumentative writing piece. Should not be too difficult. Okay, a lot of things you would already have the basics, and now you'd want to move on to actually practicing how to write the argumentative essay. Alright, so this was the previous slide that I shown on the questions. So your in-class practice, please choose one question from the list and construct a 3-paragraph essay. One introduction, the first body paragraph, and one conclusion. Alright, this will make it easier for you to focus on the writing style of an argumentative essay and focus on refining the way you write your main ideas. Focus on refining the way you write your supporting evidence. Alright, there. So thank you. I'll leave the slide to this so that whenever you need to pause, you'll see this.